Your fleet saves on comm data. Fuel costs eating into your profits? Help grow your fleet with nationwide fuel discounts, powerful fraud protection, customizable controls, and real-time reporting. It's so much more than a fuel card. It's comm data. Visit commdata.com today to learn more.
By carrying more weight and burning less fuel, we're also able to pay our drivers better too. So more to our bottom line and more to the drivers.
Welcome to CCJ Innovators. I'm CCJ's Senior Editor, Pamela De Leon. In this series, we profile carriers and fleets that have found innovative ways to overcome trucking's challenges. This month, we're joined by John Bickner, owner of Bickner Trucking. John shares how the company significantly reduced fuel costs by 25% while hauling heavy loads. Go ahead and subscribe, and now let's find out what makes Bickner Trucking this month's innovator. Tell me about your fleet. How many trucks and tractors you guys have? What does the company usually haul, and across which regions?
We've always operated in Western Canada and the Northwest USA. Right from day one, we started out in the, getting licensed, right back from driving back to 1985. And, my brother and I, we ran for another company. We became our own entity and our own company in 88. First leased operator who signed on with us is still here today. We have lots of leased operators have been part of the company all the way through. We have company trucks and trailers, and we have leased operators too. You get guys that have been, drivers or whatever with you, and then they expand out into their own truck later on. Our customers have grown, and we had to grow with our customers to provide the service that they got as they grow. We got to grow with them to keep providing the service. And, total fleet, there's 60 tractors, and with the trains, there's liquid and hopper trailers. Everything is Super B here, and we're a family company.
What challenges led the company to focus on fuel economy as a critical priority for you guys?
Well, when you do numbers, fuel is one of your biggest operational costs. So as a result, it's something too that you can work at controlling to somewhat between, negotiating pricing and, by driver input and equipment specs, as we have now learned, can go a long ways to making you more efficient. And that is why we got started. We've been going since the mid-'80s, and we've always had fuel books with us right from day one. And we've always, my brother and I, when we drove, we've always tried to get a little better fuel mileage than the other one. We just did that, see if we beat the other guy on fuel mileage, especially as we started buying new trucks. And it just continued from there. It's just something you watch. Like I said, it's one of your biggest costs. So that is why we got into that.
What would you say was your company's solution to issues in fuel economy? What did you guys change? What strategies did you guys use to reduce loads and boost your fuel economy?
Lots of research, lots of trying things. We have slowed down to 60 mile an hour. The speed limit here is more of a 55, 62 and a half. And then there's the Trans-Canada routes, which are a little faster, which are like 68 mile an hour, but we only go 60. And we started that probably over 20 years ago. We slowed our equipment down. And when we did that, we saw a big difference in fuel mileage. Number two, then we started seeing a big difference in tire wear and maintenance costs. Really changed too when we did that. So that was the start of it. And then just reading and watching, guys, what they do in Europe. I've read lots of studies from all over the world, trying aerodynamics and just putting it all together to do that. And the whole plan was to bring down our horsepower requirement to roll at 60 mile an hour down the road. And then the lower your requirement is, the more reserve power you have left for when you hit a roll and a knoll. And so it performs well. The truck still has good performance. And by lowering that power with the new auto shifts, we can roll down the road at 220, 240 horsepower. And even running at 940, 980 RPM, as our new trucks are doing, we're in the 350, 360 horsepower range. And we're only requiring 240. So we're running, about 2/3 of what the engine load is. And by keeping the engine loaded in that gear, we're keeping our emission system warm. We're keeping the engine warmer internally, thermal efficiency on motors. And just the pumping losses and the drag by gearing that way. Yet when it gets windy, the prairies is terrible for wind. We get our heavy weights on 120, 140,000 pounds and 80 axles. And it's the wind that can really affect us. Now we can go in direct. You have transmission efficiency of direct. And we bump up to where we're at 1240, 1270 RPM, and we have full engine horsepower at that time. And the truck really performs well in that gear. And being auto chip, the drivers, set the cruise and the truck will look after itself. So that has worked very well. And then with the I-shift, because we're running the bowls, we were still able to bring in a low starting gear, so we still have great startability, even though we're running ratios of 247-1.
What kind of trucks did you guys use? Was there a particular brand that you guys were using for your trucks and trailers to do your modifications, or is it more of like a testing with different bots?
I think I'm helping other guys, on the fleet here, trying it with different makers. Now, ourselves, we've been working with Volvo, and we bought into Volvo trucks starting our first model, I think, was 92, 93s, and we've had a relationship with them ever since. And the nice part about running a particular unit is you get to know it well, and you know how to work with the unit to massage it, because you know what's different in the specs. You know what you're ordering. Where if I go over to another truck, it's quite hard because you don't always know what's available. But I have been working with some of these operators. In the future, we're going to start seeing more numbers of what they're trying. We'll see where that goes. But the Volvo I-Torque spec was good. We're able to get the first gear startability. We're able to get the ratios, that work, get our engine RPM down and reduce the drag and work on the roll. And it's worked very well. But for us, it's been Volvo. It's been working with us, and they've worked with us very well. But I believe people, got to make their own relationship with who they work with and who's there for their service and can work with them. And this is who we worked with through the years. I guess I should add, we have worked on the tankers. We've been working with Advanced through the last years, working on lightweight hoppers. We've been, we get a lot of work, Dokers from Saskatchewan here. We've done a lot with them. We've seen a little bit with Load King. We've tried a lot of different things through the years, but it's nice when you can keep going to the same guys that you know and know the product. It's just much easier to massage it that way because you know it.
Did you face any resistance when proposing your rear end spec? What were the concerns? Also, what data did you present to get the OEM's approval for your unconventional spec?
We had to have about 7 or 8 meetings with both the trailer manufacturer and the truck manufacturers with engineering and explain our ideas, our thoughts, our reasoning, how come we felt this was going to work. And what was really interesting is, we came out to have a goal of, when we first started, was have a goal 22.5% better than our first new specs, which we were calling optimized, which were far above fleet averages as it was. And we worked hard at it, and we figured, well, we're going to come out at about 22.5%, which we actually, we're coming out closer to 24.5 to 25% is where we're ended up going now. That's how much further we're going on a gallon of fuel now. So it's pretty exciting because that first truck was really, and it's still doing well. That first one's still on the fleet here. It's been doing well, but it's nothing close to these next generation trucks. Like I said, we're going now that much further on a gallon of fuel. Like, that's a long ways. It's been very exciting. Everything we put together and what we thought was going to happen did. what really got us driven and how we came up with that number was from listening to talk shows and reading and taking examples of the high torque spec. I've listened to a lot of stuff. Let's Truck, Henry Albert, Joel Morrow. Them guys have been very influential in the industry. And I've listened to them, their stuff over. I listened to their stuff on Kevin Rutherford too, over and over again. And I've listened to their stuff and watched on YouTube. Anywhere you could find it. And did a lot of research, and I did a lot of university test papers and European papers, and just put it all together and reading. It's like I said, I keep coming back to Joel and Henry there and seeing stuff they did, and I knew they were hauling lighter. I knew they weren't pulling trains, but I adjusted the numbers for according to, our extra weight, our extra axles, our extra length, and I played with them numbers. AI wasn't available like it is now. AI would have been hugely beneficial when I was brainstorming with that. Instead, I just have piles of paper. And the numbers, that's where we came up with those goals, was from comparing what they were doing, adjusting for our cycles. And those numbers got us in pretty close to the ballpark. And it's really exciting to watch and see it develop, take the ideas, watch it develop and watch it turn out. A lot of people thought we were crazy, probably some still do, but the results, they speak for themselves.
Can you tell me more about the partnerships with Advanced Engineered Products? What did they design and the purpose behind that? And also, what modifications did you guys do and the reasoning behind that, and how did that help exactly?
Advanced Engineering is a tanker trailer builder, and they build trailers with you. We try to build it to what specification we're looking for, and we work together. They have helped us build our V-nose fairings underneath. They helped us to move where our box used to be side mounted for our valves and carrying stuff, and our pumps were all liquid fertilizer is one of our main products. And we made them so we can load ourselves on and off. We have pumps, but we were able to move our boxes underneath. And when we did that, we lightened our equipment up a bunch because we no longer needed an L-frame bracket to cradle those boxes out to the full width. We're able to put them underneath the frame rail and then clamp bolt it to the bottom of the frame rails. And it worked very well for streamlining the airflow. We're running a removable jack stand. We're having a V cone at the front. It hits the box, comes down, and then we use a wind fairing to move the air out to the side. And then, so our air, basically the route that it travels, it comes down, it hits the V fairing, and then it goes down the side of the boxes. And then it comes out to our kick fairings in front of the wheel, so it gently angles them out to the side of the wheel. And then Flow Below has been involved with us too. They don't make a trailer hourglass kit for between the axles, but they helped us with pieces and stuff so we could do it. So we're running their wheel covers and the hourglass kit between the axles to keep the air flowing down the outside of the axles and not letting the air get in underneath the trailer, intertwining in the axles to reduce the drag. And to top it off, the other part that we worked with them is we created a false extension off of the trailer. So we basically brought our gap used to be like 56 inches. Now we got it down to like 28 inches between the trailers with a fake wall to keep air flowing off the one trailer onto the next. And then at the back of the trailer, we're using kind of like a diffuser. What we've done is they're about 10 inches long. It's on a 13-degree angle. And it lets the air gently drop in, so it doesn't just fall off the tank and turbulate back. It comes off the angle and tapers in. And by reading reports, they're showing that 10 inches will get you, about 78%, pushing 80% of the effect of a 40 some inch, which we thought was a good trade-off because we couldn't go that long. We're already long. When we put our truck and we're pulling dual trailers, in an 8-axle configuration, we're already long. So that's what we did at the back to try to diffuse there too. So we went to a lot of work on the trailers to do that. They went lighter. So from our traditional spec, we actually ended up with a lighter, more efficient trailer, which has been great when you get both of it.
What has been the financial return on investment on this and the custom specs and trailer modifications? What has been the financial payback on that investment?
It's been expensive, but it is coming back quite quickly. You got to remember that up in Canada, our fuel prices are significantly higher than what yours are. And as a result, our units here working, heavy duty haul trucks could be $150,000 a year in diesel fuel. When you start talking savings of a third, we're talking substantial money, which does give you a good return on that. So it is giving good return. Yeah, for example, we're experimenting with the guy here right now running flow below wheel covers on a Super B, which was surprising to me. I didn't figure it was going to show the result point that he is, and it is. And he's looking at a 4-month return of investment. 4 months. That's pretty fast when you're looking at 4 to 5 year life cycles on equipment here. Usually 4 years. So when you can throw it out in 4 months, you're going to get a pretty good return on that.
Were there any other unexpected benefits from doing the modifications that you encountered?
One thing that we don't talk about at all, but we've seen it through the years, is anytime you run down the road for less fuel, you aren't working as hard. And when you aren't working as hard, your maintenance costs drop. And as your maintenance costs can be huge and be quite a way in helping you out. I've been at engineering, at Volvo at the factory and, Detroit Diesel and other places. I've been at engineering meetings. And a common number we used to hear, and I believe it's quite higher now because of inflation, but for about every penny you save in diesel, you're looking at a couple cents return. So for 1 penny saved in diesel, you're looking for 2, which I'm starting to hear 3 to 4 now. But I still like to throw the conservative number of 1 to 2, back. You get longer tire life because you are putting power out to maintain that speed. You roll down the road easier. When you slow down, and everything lasts longer, and you get a return on that when you start talking a couple 100,000 kilometers a year or 120,000 plus miles a year. That adds up quickly. Some people used to talk, for example, engine life or emission system life, for example. If everything was created perfectly, it'd be how many BTU units were transferred through, and a gallon of fuel has so many BTU units in it, and how you burn it up. It's like a piece of wood in your fireplace. You open the doors and really vent it. You can burn that thing right up really quickly. You can make a whole bunch of heat, but not very long. You can fill that thing up and control your draft and run a nice slow fire all night and have heat for the evening. And the emission system and our motors are kind of the same way. If everything else is created equal, there's not any wild cards or something, right? And so the longer you can make things go, the lower your maintenance costs are.
Final question, what's next for you guys? What are you planning to do next? And also, I think you mentioned having the advantage of AI as well. Is that something that you're also thinking about?
As far as where we're going in the future, I already believe that we can do better than we're doing. We've already talked about it with them here, and I got ideas, things that we can do to even be better than where we are already. And as technology changes and, the truck spec changes and things come out more available, there's even more room to grow. So it's quite exciting. And then watch it as we roll out through the time. It's going to be neat.
That's it for this installment of CCJ Innovators. Check out ccjdigital.com for more trucking content from all of our editors. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you'll never miss a post from CCJ.